installment, Shannon Blogs, 31 Days of Horror, continuing with Day 7. Children of the Corn 2, the final sacrifice. Okay, I know that this is not the most interesting drawing I've ever, title I've ever done, but that feels like about as much effort as they put into the film itself. So we're sticking with that. Okay, Children of the Corn 2, continuing my Children of the Corn series special for this year for the 31 Days of Horror. And given that there are five more sequels, I don't think this is the final anything. So this one goes back to 1992. This is a first time watch for me. I had only seen the original, even though I hadn't actually remembered anything about it, but I haven't seen any of the other sequels. So this film is from 1992, and it's set after the events of the first film, and so spoilers for Children of the Corn 1. I guess I have to do that, although, yeah, I do, because just for the brief story synopsis, gotta tell you a little bit about what happens at the end of Children of the Corn, the original. So it's the surviving kids of the Gatlan, whatever, on the events, and so those children are taken in by a nearby town, and then of course we have the outsiders coming in, because that's how all these movies are apparently going to work. A lot of horror movies do that, and the outsiders this time are a reporter, or a rag reporter, like National Enquirer type thing, and his reluctant son. The parents have split up, and he's normally with his mom, but now he's with his dad for the moment before his mom gets married or whatever. So father and son don't want to hang around with each other, driving by. I don't know if they're just driving by and then they hear, because he writes, rag, journalism. He sort of starts to find out about this story, these children, these survivors of a town that killed the parents, and of course, starts to investigate, quote, air quotes, the story. So there we go. And of course, both of them sort of get involved with, each of them get involved with a woman or girl in the town, of course, because it's a 90s horror movie. And then there's, of course, craziness that happens as well. So that's sort of what it's about. And the first question I have is, was it horror? And definitely yes, there's tons of gore, lots of death, lots of attacks, lots of, not disasters, but things that are meant to look like disasters and were actually planned kind of thing. Like lots of those kinds of things. And again, like the first movie, it has this weird sort of thing where it's kind of not that clear if it's supernatural or not, but I'll get to that later. The next question is, was it scary? I would say no. For me, all of the jump scares were very broadly telecasted before they happened, so that wasn't scary at all. And some of the visuals, like in terms of the gore type stuff, like the makeup, and that's pretty scary and definitely menacing. Again, what happens to people, and the actions they take, like that is gruesome and stuff like that, but it's not any surprise given the first film. So element of surprise means, for me, it doesn't feel very scary. Did I enjoy it? I don't know if you can tell, but that would be a no. I actually was kind of bored while watching this one. I am not a huge fan of 90s horror in general. Don't know why. I like 80s and 70s big time, but 90s, I don't know. It is a really good example of sort of direct-to-video horror, where they could get away with more, in particular, the gore. I actually don't know if this went to theaters. I don't think it did, but it might have. But it feels like a direct-to-horror. They can push the push further envelope. The boundaries of like what you can get away with, but it didn't go so far as to there wasn't, I don't think there was like nudity. Often that can be the case with this time period. So I don't think there was, there's some racy scenes, but nothing too much. So yeah, but also a fair amount of it was goofy. In terms of the children of Gatlan, I didn't think, know, they weren't that menacing, and, you know, it's a lot. And okay, so it's goofy. You know, some of that's sort of just the time period and the style. But I have to say, a lot of it didn't make a lot of sense. So that was kind but there was one huge sequence that was completely crazy that was entertaining because it was so bad and so weird, and it felt like it was supposed to explain things, but it didn't feel like it explained anything because it's just this crazy visual sequence, and you're like, what the hell was that? So that was entertaining in its own way, but definitely didn't feel like I enjoyed it. I don't know. And also, there were a lot of sort of multiple like possible explanations for what was happening, but I don't feel like there was any ever real explanation for what was happening. Given that, I actually ended up rating this one a 5 out of 10, which is very low. It's the lowest of the ratings so far. I am going to continue with the series, but I'm getting a little worried that they're all going to be horrible. But you never know. So, you never. I don't know. Do you know? Anyway, if anyone's seen Children of the Corn 6 through the 8th, because there's 8, right? 5. No, there's 7. Any of the further sequels, let me know if they are or worth watching. I'm going to now go to the spoiler zone, so if you don't want to know spoilers for the movie Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice, we'll see you next time. Otherwise, I'm going spoilers in 3, 2, 1. What's my first spoiler? Oh my god. Okay, so, like, it has the exact same ending as the first movie. And they still don't talk, they talk about, like, the man beyond the corn, or the man beyond the field. Who is it? I don't think they said who it was in the first movie. And it comes up again in this movie, like, this sort of thing that they say. It's like, who is it? Is it the outsiders coming in? I don't think so, because they talk of him with such reverence. And then they had this weird thing that there were sort of like slightly different but the same kind of characters in this one. Like this time we have Mika, who is exactly like Isaac. Dresses the same way, has the same approach to things. Isaac dies in the first one, but he, like, and then that weird sequence I was talking about, it kind of feels like the corn, like the supernatural element or the dragon or whatever, like transforms Mika into Isaac. But then why was he dressing exactly like him ahead of time? It made no sense. And then that was so clear because it was like the only person in all black, you know, so of course it's going to be that's the Isaac guy. And then there's like in this one we have Mordecai instead of Malachi. I don't remember if Malachi died, but it kind of felt like this weird sort of like almost like a copyright thing, like that they couldn't actually use the characters from the first one, so they did these creative things of having different names and not explainable, like explain like that crazy computer animation sequence with the molecules and I don't so bad. Oh, I forgot to show my drawing. My drawing, I tried to represent that. I don't love my drawing for this one, but yeah, so there's Gatlan, and then the lady that has the house fall on her, and then these are the molecules, and we have Mika falling through the world, and then there's Mika and Mordecai or whatever. Or is it Malachi? Mordecai. And this one's Mordecai. Yeah, and then the craziest thing I thought was Dr. Red Bear's like random explanations every 5 minutes. You know, and then he would like sometimes he would joke that that's not what it was, and then he would give him another explanation, and then he would give another explanation. But my favorite nonsensical explanation was when he showed these drawings on the stone of saying, you know, blah blah blah, and then, you know, the reporter guy asks him, how do you know, that this hasn't occurred before or hasn't occurred yet? And the guy said, oh, if it had happened, there would be a line under it. So, is this a historical drawing or is this a supernatural drawing? And when it's complete, someone will come and check mark it off that it's been done. It was funny, but it was ridiculous. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, every time, you know, at the end of every scene he's in the middle of the scene, he just sort of says, oh, well, it's because blah, 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 blah. Or the tradition of this people's mean it can be blah, 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 blah. But my favorite one was when he just talked about how, no, those kids went crazy and killed their parents. It's like, yeah. Oh, so again, that was hilarious, but it also was kind of. I do find it kind of annoying with these ones that you don't really know. Is it the children just going crazy, or is it the supernatural element? And then it feels like it's a supernatural element because the dragon comes from the sky, and and the soil like has the tremors effect, and I don't know. But the fact that the ending was exactly the same as the first movie, where they just sort of set the corn on fire, and that really annoyed me. I forgot to finish that thought. It also really annoyed me that both of the women end up just getting, being having to be saved, and I just thought that that was really annoying. Again, one isn't enough. Both of the women, and so both of the guys have to go and save their girls. Like, come on, it was it was 92. It wasn't 52. So anyway, hopefully they'll get better. I don't actually really have much hope for that, but it's possible. All right, see you next time.